Welcome to hands-on-erp.com. This is Hassan Mir. In this session, I will talk about a strategy for installing Oracle E-Business Suite applications on any Windows platform, including Windows 7 and Windows Vista. So after going through these videos, you will have Oracle E-Business Suite software installed and running on your PC or laptop. Software like Oracle E-Business Suite applications, for example, then two primary challenges are faced by that person. One, in the training. Either training is not available, either it's very difficult to understand, no step-by-step easy training is available, or it's very expensive. Okay, and second is practice. When you want to practice what you're learning, you don't have access to the practice box. Either they're illegally offered over the internet, and even if they are legally offered, they have limited functionality. So you need somewhere to practice what you're learning. Here at handsonerp.com, I'm giving you a solution to both of these challenges. For your training needs, I'm giving you a step-by-step, easy to understand training program that makes you an Oracle Applications functional consultant. And for your practice needs, I'm giving you a step-by-step guide on how to install Oracle applications on your own PC or laptop so that you can practice what you're learning on your own computer. So let's talk about the high-level strategy. So in the next session onwards, we will go deeper into this strategy and try to look into the detailed steps, but here we are going to discuss the high level of what we will be doing. So first of all, you will need a computer, either a desktop or laptop, either will do. So these are the requirements. Okay, so you need a computer with a hard disk of at least 400 GB. I'm going a little conservative here. You can do the installation on 300 GB hard disk as well. Keep in mind that here I'm talking about the total size of the hard disk. Some of this will be dedicated for Oracle purposes. So if you have 400 GB, you can say, okay, 300 is dedicated for Oracle and rest of the 100 is for operating system and so on. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about the breakdown of hard disk space later on, but this is just the high level requirement. So if you are planning to buy a computer for this purpose, then you can look for a computer with a hard disk of at least 400 GB installed on that computer. If you're planning to buy a computer, make sure it has at least 3 GB of memory. 4 is highly recommended, but 3 will do the job just fine. Less than 3 will be a problem. CPU could be any Intel or AMD, and it could be of any speed. Obviously, if you're buying a computer with 400 GB of hard disk and 3 GB of RAM, it would be a decent CPU. But if you can get a CPU that has at least 2 cores or more than 2 cores, like dual core or quad core, for example, that will be much better. Okay, your system will work much faster, but that is not a requirement. It will still work, so don't spend too much time or too much money for the CPU sake. But you do need, as I said, at least 3 GB RAM and a decent hard disk space. CD and DVD ROMs are not needed for this strategy. You will need internet connection, though the faster the better, because you will be downloading few software including Oracle E-Business Suite software, Linux and virtual machine. So if you have a faster connection, it would be downloaded faster. If you have a slow connection, it will take time, but you need an internet connection. Okay, so once you have a computer, it will have an operating system on it, and my demonstrations are based on Windows 7 operating system. If you have other flavors that would work fine, for example Windows Vista 2003 or any other Windows flavor. You can also apply this strategy on any operating system like Apple, if you have a Mac computer, and also you can have Linux operating system on your computer as well. You can still follow this strategy, um, but obviously you will be on your own because my demonstrations are based on Windows operating system. Okay, so we have a computer and we have an operating system on that computer. In this case, Windows 7, for example, and we are not going to install Oracle directly on Windows 7. We will be installing a virtual machine on Windows 7. Virtual machine is simply a software that emulates a physical machine. So it's like running a computer within a computer. For practical purposes, basically you have two computers. One, your actual computer with Windows operating system, and another one, a virtual computer. And in this virtual computer we will install another operating system. Why not install Oracle directly on Windows? Why are we installing virtual machine first? There are a few reasons for that. One, it's very easy to manage virtual machine. You can take snapshots, you can roll back to your previous snapshot with a click of a button, you can make clones, you can turn virtual machine off and on with a click of a button because it's all software based. It's pretty easy to manage your virtual machine. That is one. And second, it's pretty easy to install Oracle on a Linux operating system, and Linux operating system doesn't come usually installed on a PC, and you need Windows for practical reasons, like for your day-to-day needs you need Windows operating system, and Oracle is pretty easy to install on Linux. Then how to put those two things together? So the best approach is you keep Windows, you install a virtual machine, and you install Linux, and then you can install Oracle on the Linux. That way you can have Oracle installation on Linux, and also you can use Windows for your own needs. Also, when you're installing Oracle directly on Windows, you have to make sure that Oracle is certified for that Windows flavor. Oracle is not certified for all Windows flavor, for example, Windows Vista. But when you are installing Oracle on Linux, you don't have to worry about all those certifications. And also, when you do installation of Oracle on Windows, you need some third-party software like C++ and Unix emulator and all that. And when you are doing Oracle installation on Linux, you don't have to worry about all that as well. Okay, so there are a few advantages of going through this route. Okay, so we will give 300 gigabyte of disk space to the virtual machine. Remember, we had 400 GB hard disk on the main computer. 100 would be used for Windows, and 300 we will give to the virtual machine so that Oracle could be installed on that virtual machine. Obviously, first we have to install an operating system. Again, this is a conservative requirement. If you have smaller disk space, you can live with 250 and even 200, but 300 is a safer bet. CPU, you will give one to your virtual machine. When you're creating a virtual machine, you have to tell the system how many CPUs it will have. It will have one. It doesn't matter how many cores you have on your main host computer. You will give one CPU to the virtual machine, and the software will handle everything automatically, like how much to share with the host and so on. And memory, you will assign 2 GB to your virtual machine. So if you have 3 GB, 1 GB will remain for the host operating system. Obviously, it will go a little slower when your virtual machine is up and running, but when you don't want to use Oracle, you can turn off your virtual machine and the whole RAM would again be available for Windows, and it will become faster again. So that's why if you have 4, it is better because 2 will be given to the virtual machine and 2 will be given to the Windows operating system. Keep in mind that we will be scaling down our installation of Oracle so that it works with 2 GB of RAM. If you have too much RAM, then you can give more than 2 GB to your virtual machine, but you need at least 1 GB for the host system. But the way we are going to install Oracle, it will work just fine on 2 GB of RAM. We will scale it down. Okay, so now we have a computer that has Windows operating system on it. On Windows, we have installed a virtual machine software and we have created a virtual machine. And we started that virtual machine, and on that we install a Linux operating system. I'm going to go with Oracle Enterprise Linux because Oracle applications work very smoothly with Oracle Enterprise Linux. I'm going to go with version 6, which is the latest one available at the moment. If you want to use some other flavor, you are welcome to do that, but then the expectation would be you are technical enough to handle the challenges because you will be on your own. If you are not very technical, then I would recommend that you stick to exactly the same software that I'm using so that you can follow my instructions to the core. That way you will not have any issues and you will have Oracle applications up and running. But if you are technical, you can do the experiments. Okay, so we have a computer Windows operating system on that computer. Then we have a virtual machine running on Windows, and on this virtual machine we installed Linux operating system. On this Linux operating system we will install Oracle E-Business Suite. It's going to be a smooth install and we can control our virtual machine easily. We can take snapshots, we can clone it, and we can turn it off, turn it on whenever we want to use Oracle and so on. Okay, so this is the high level strategy that we would be following to install Oracle E-Business Suite. So when you will come to a point where you're installing Oracle E-Business Suite applications on Linux, you will be asked this question by the installation wizard, whether you want to do a vision installation or production installation, also known as fresh installation. I have addressed this topic at few occasions in my training sessions, and here I'm going to talk about it again because this will be relevant to this installation series of videos that I'm making here. First of all, let's start with what is vision installation. Vision installation is simply an installation of Oracle where Oracle also creates some data for you in the system, and this data is data for a Vision Corporation. Vision Corporation is a real company. They have allowed Oracle to distribute their implementation along with their system, and the sole purpose of doing that is for those who want to evaluate a software. They can look into an already implemented system, and this system belongs to a Vision Corporation. Okay, now what people forget is the purpose of Vision distribution is to evaluate an already implemented system. Its purpose is not to make you learn Oracle applications. The best way to learn Oracle application is on a fresh installation, also known as production installation. The reason is that you need to learn how to create objects from scratch, and when you are in the real project you don't have vision installation anywhere on that project. Okay, you have production installation and you have to create everything from scratch, and that's what you need to learn, and that's what I want to teach you. Okay, vision installation will confuse you because it will have all the objects already created in the system, and you will not understand which one is supposed to be created first and which one is supposed to be created next, and so on. Okay, so that is one problem with vision installation. If you want to learn Oracle, then vision is not good for you. If you want to evaluate Oracle, then yes, vision might be a solution. Second is there are few things in Oracle that can only be created once, and you need to learn how to create that. If you do a vision installation, those entities will already be there in the system. For example, in Oracle Assets, some of the flex fields can only be created once, and that's the flex field you will be using with Oracle Assets, no matter how many asset books you will create. And in vision installation, you will have problem when you come to that point, because you want to create everything from scratch. In production installation, you can easily do that. And since we are on virtual machine, you can roll back and you can restart if you like. Also, keep in mind that if you are doing a Vision installation, you need 150 gigabyte of more disk space. And all my numbers are based on the production install. Okay, so you need to add 150 gigabyte to the space requirements that I have given you. This is the breakdown. If you're doing a production install, your database size is 55 GB. It doesn't have Vision Corporation's data in it. The size of all the forms and report files other than the data, whatever files are there in the system that makes up this whole software of Oracle E-Business Suite, would take 35 gigabyte of disk space. And before you can install Oracle, you need to create a temporary staging area where you dump all the downloaded files, and that requires 47 gigabyte of disk space, which could be removed. Staging area could be removed later on as well. So 150, around 150 GB is what you need on Linux, and I'm asking you to do 300 gigabyte. I want to keep 100 extra there, but you have 150 extra. So that's why I said it's a very conservative requirement. If you don't have 300 gigabyte to assign to your virtual machine, you can go with 250 or 200 as well. But now compare these numbers with Vision. Look at the database size. It is 208 GB alone as opposed to 55 GB. So everything else obviously is the same, because the only thing different in Vision is the data for the Vision Corporation. You can always check the disk space requirement for the latest release that you're downloading by going into the installation guide. It's not going to change that much, and we are already going conservative, so you should be okay. Next, I'm going to talk about the tiers. So in production systems, Oracle is usually installed on a 3-tier environment. So you have one machine dedicated for the database. So this is called the database server. It has data and services necessary to maintain data. And then we have an application server. It has all the other services necessary for the application to run. For example, it has all the logic to produce the screens, and it has all the logic to serve the request coming in from the users, and so on. It talks to the database to retrieve the data and to write the data back. And you connect to Oracle applications through your browser, and your browser talks to the application server. So in production environments, you can have even more than one application server. So if you have many users and load sharing needs to be managed, then you can have 2 or 3 application servers talking to the same database, and all these 3 application servers can share the load from the users. Okay, so in a typical production system, you will have one machine for database, one machine for application services, and then a computer for the person who wants to use Oracle. So we have 3 different machines here. Okay, but for our installation, we are not going to create 2 different machines for application server and database server. If you like, you can do that. Once you have virtual machine software installed, you can create 2 different machines, one for application server and one for database server. But we are going to keep it simple because we are installing Oracle for learning purposes, and we don't want to experiment too much on that technical end. So what we'll do is we will install both sets of services, application server services and database services, on a single machine, and that will become our server. So we'll have one server running the whole Oracle applications as opposed to 2 different servers. So in other words, we are doing 2-tier installation. One tier would be the computer of the client that has a browser in it, and the browser will connect to the server running Oracle applications. And the second tier is machine that has all Oracle services running together on one machine: application server services and database services. Okay, in terms of client server terminology, we will have the client computer, which is your host computer, connecting to your server computer, which is your virtual machine. Okay, because you will be using browser on your main Windows computer to connect to Oracle applications running on your virtual machine. So virtual machine is obviously not a hardware based machine, it's a software based machine, but this virtual machine is your Oracle server, and your physical machine, which is the host computer hosting virtual machine as well, this computer is your client computer. You can even connect to this Oracle applications running in this virtual machine from any other computer as well, but since you already have a computer, why not utilize that computer? So the same computer, the host computer, will become your client, and the virtual computer running inside your host computer will become your server.